Hello, I wanted to make this video to share my fertility journey. I know that every story and journey is completely different and unique, and I just wanted to share the resources that I found and that helped me, in hopes that some people would find some of this information helpful. So my journey started a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago. Uh, my husband and I were struggling to get pregnant. We probably tried for a year or more, a little bit more. So and then I found out through my younger sister that about the infertility department at our hospital, which I wasn't even aware of. I didn't even know infertility clinics existed. I didn't know any information about that. So I contacted them, and of course there's a wait, and finally we got seen by them, and we did the initial tests, and from the very beginning I was diagnosed with low Ovarian Reserve, or also called Diminished Ovarian Reserve. And at the time when they first told me about that, I didn't really know what that was, what that meant. Along the way, as I was doing the program, I found out that I just have a very low egg count for somebody my age. I think it's common, like 1 in 10 women, so it's not that common. So that was what I was diagnosed with at the time, and luckily my husband was fine. So at that point, the doctor, she recommended that I go straight to IVF. But again, not knowing what that meant, the low ovarian reserve, maybe because I just didn't understand it, I said, no, I want to try the program from the beginning, and then I'll do the IVF at the end. So we did the whole program with them, which it was around a year, lasted like around a year. And you first start off with the Clomid pills. The first few months you take these hormone pills to see if you kind of can increase the egg count. Or so first we did the Clomid pills for a few months. After that we tried a handful of IUIs, and then after that I had 2 hysteroscopies done. I hope I'm saying that right. And that's where it's a small procedure, well, semi-small procedure, where they kind of go in your uterus and kind of clean out, or just anything that might be obstructing that area. So I had one done, and then I had to go back and do another one because they missed some stuff. And then at the end, after that, that we have tried the whole program with them, my next step was IVF. And the IVF was done in another outside clinic. And I went to that at the clinic, hopeful. I was always hopeful for everything, all the procedures that we were doing. Every time we did an IUI or any procedures, you're always really hopeful and excited, but you just keep going. And so then we were ready for the IVF, and of course it's a very expensive endeavor, but we were able to manage to get it started. We went to this outside facility, and she got all my information, and we were getting ready to do the IVF, which is the regular IVF is getting, purchasing all the hormones that you're going to be injecting in yourself. So we did those rounds where you start injecting yourself these hormones to get prepared for that IVF cycle. So then I was ready to, my date came up to get my eggs retrieved. However, I wasn't successful because since I have a low ovarian reserve, which is a very small, low A count. It just didn't work for me. I went to the Retrieval, and I think the 2, 3, 4 eggs that they retrieved, they were just, I think they called them granular, which meant they weren't going to be good for the next steps. So I didn't even make it to the end of the IVF. I didn't get to the other parts. So that was really heartbreaking, knowing that my retrieval didn't go well and that it wasn't successful. At that point, when I talked to the IVF doctor, I spoke to her, and she spoke to me, and she said, well, your only bet might be just to get a donor egg, or to consider donor eggs. And at that time, that it was also really heartbreaking news, just because after all the stuff that we have gone through, I couldn't even think about, getting information about donor eggs and that other, researching that area. So I left, and for some reason since I had been on this journey for more than 2-3 years, I just wanted to keep going, and I learned about natural IVF, to do the extraction of the eggs but without any hormones injection. So I learned for me that a person with low ovarian reserve, they're better off with a natural IVF, since I don't think the injection of the hormones helps low ovarian reserve. So I was learning about that information, and I was hopeful about that. But at the same time, one day, through my podcast search, I guess out of desperation, I just typed in how to get pregnant. And I came up, and a podcast called How to Get Healthy and Get Pregnant came up. And I was just excited to learn all about it. I clicked on it, and that whole weekend, my husband and I listened to all 50 episodes. They were about 15 or 20 minutes long, and I just fell in love with what I just learned. Every episode, the creator of that podcast, at that time it was called How to Get Healthy and Get Pregnant. She has now changed it since. But the creator of the podcast, her name is Adrienne Wee, spelled ADRIENNEWEI.com. I will also list it below. So like I said, we listened to that whole 50 episodes at that time, and we implemented almost everything she said to do, healthy changes that we could do in our lives to help us reach our goal of getting pregnant. And I found this fascinating because a lot of the information that I learned through this podcast, I had never heard about it. Suggestions that she makes is, she says, to get rid of your toxic beauty products and your toxic home products. A lot of these products that we use day to day have toxic chemicals that cause infertility. I had no idea about this. A lot of beauty products that we buy in our local stores, they don't care that they sell these products and with these toxic chemicals, and these products are causing either different types of cancer and infertility issues. And like I said, I had no idea about this information. So one of the top things that she said was, here an example is your sunblock. Which sunblock are you using? And at the time, I was using a sunblock that I use on my face every day, whether it was cloudy or sunny. And it turned out that the sunblock was full of parabens. And these parabens cause infertility. So in this episode, she recommended switching over to beauty brands such as BeautyCounter. And you try it because BeautyCounter is a company that sells products with non-toxic chemicals that and non-harmful chemicals. Then that's what this particular company is about. And I changed my sunblock immediately. Just a year ago, I became a consultant with them, and I started using. Well, since I learned about them, which was those three years ago, I switched my sunblock, and I have been using this ever since. It's the BeautyCounter Sunblock sunscreen, and I use it, like I said, on my face almost daily. I could use it all on my arms, over my body if I'm going to be out. But this is one change that I did. Since then, like I said, I'm now a consultant. I'll get my information below. But I now use a lot of their products, which is their face cleansers and their makeup line and tinted moisturizers. But if other recommendations is to go to places such as Sprouts or Whole Foods, and that weekend that we learned about it, my husband and I went to these stores and got healthier shampoos and hair conditioners and soaps. There is an app that you can download on your phone, and it's free. It's called Green Living, and it allows you to scan items. The app, it will let you know if a product is okay to use or if it's really harmful. Like I said, every episode there was a suggestion, and the list is pretty long, but we did as much as possible. One of the second suggestions is to switch my eating to have warmer foods, like a warm breakfast, a warm lunch, a warm dinner, because she mentioned something about getting rid of the cold uterus, which is you want to keep your stomach pretty warm. You want to drink and consume room temperature drinks. You want to avoid like iced coffees, anything iced. A warm breakfast, like as an example, eggs and toast. And then for lunch, maybe you warm up some chicken and rice, and then you want a warm dinner. So the idea is to kind of keep your stomach warm. Trying to drink bone broth daily, just a little bit, maybe half a cup. Acupuncture weekly, which I did myself. When you get there, all you have to say is, I'm here because I'm trying to get pregnant. So they'll know what points to make. Just kind of try to reduce coffee and alcohol. If you're able to reduce it, that's great. And if you're able to kind of stop it completely, changes that your partner could do as well, it would be really helpful. To make sure that you microwave glass containers. Every time you microwave, you want to make sure that it's glass or ceramic, not plastic, because when you heat up plastic, it gives out these BPAs, and you don't want to eat that, consume that. Your drinking mugs, you want to make sure that they're either glass or stainless steel. So these are all healthy changes that ultimately helped us get pregnant with our boy. That was a little bit less than 3 years ago. And when we found out, it was a few months after we had that failed IVF. And when we found out, we just couldn't believe it. And I wanted to share this information. And like I said, I know that all journeys are completely different. I just hope that this information is helpful, or anybody finds this helpful.